Ernest will be joining us shortly. Just briefly recount for us how the experience was for you.
Hi, my name is Billy Simani, otherwise known as Crazy Nairobian. Okay, for me, I think, the first guy to be abducted. So for me, it was more of a surprise. We had just come from a successful Thursday maandamano. So on Friday, I was still asleep throughout the day. I just woke up constantly to tweet and go back to sleep. So at 3 p.m., I think it was on 21st June, I had a knock on the door. At first, I thought it was the caretaker, because that's the only person that can knock at my door. So I went to open the door. Hao wengine upiga simu before akuje. So I was still in my t-shirt and my short. I went to the door, opened it, and I saw it was 4 guys in balaclava. The 5th one was a lady, because she had on a face mask. And the first question they asked me was, Billy? And out of shock, I answered, yes. Na hiyo time yote wameshikilia mlango. So they all rushed in. The first guy ran to the balcony. I think they thought that maybe I would escape. Then the second one went to the bedroom. And then the third one, it was this huge guy. He told me to face the wall. Alafu, they told me to sit down. And the next thing I know, I was being slapped with brand new wrist bracelets, yani pingu, nyuma. Alafu, the other guy went from my laptop and my phone. And then they started interrogating me. First, they asked me to open my phone. They wanted me to unlock my phone, but I refused. And then the whole time I was asking, nimefanya nini? Nataka nijue nimefanya nini? And they silenced me with a few rounds of claps, all of them.
Oh, wow.
And so nika realize this is not usual, because first of all, I was just tweeting normally. I hadn't done anything wrong. And then the other guy went for my t-shirt, the maandamano t-shirt, it was on my chair. I thought maybe they were taking evidence, but they wanted to use the t-shirt to cover me up. So the whole time I was pleading with them to at least let me put on some pair of trousers, but they refused. And then they asked me the last time, tufungulie simu tafadhali. And I told them, mimi mniambie kwanza mnanishikia nini ndio nijue. They silenced me once again with a few rounds of clap, all of them. And you know, I live on the 7th floor. And that's the first time ever since I moved into that building that nimeiteremka stairs na I think it was a few seconds, because they were too quick. I couldn't see because walikuwa wameni cover up. The next thing I know, I'm being sandwiched in the back of a car. I think there was one guy on my right, the other one on my left. And then we drove around for like 2 hours. So me, in my mind, I knew that I'm being taken out of Nairobi somewhere. And I knew this was it, because first of all, they didn't introduce themselves. Second of all, I've been blindfolded. So the next thing I knew, story yangu imeisha hivyo. So we drove around for like 2 hours. Then they started whispering. And then one of them was asking for directions from someone on the phone. And then they sent him the pin. And then the next thing I know, I'm pulling up to, I don't know, one of them, they stopped the car, they came out. And then one of them was like, ni hapa. Then the others were like, yeah, ni hapa. Wakasema, sawa, toa hiyo jamaa tumalizane na yeye hapa kwa kahawa tuende kufanya kazi ingine. And I knew that was it. And then the next thing I know, I'm being taken out of the car. I was still in my t-shirt, my short, barefoot, hands tied behind my back. I've been blindfolded. The next thing I know, I'm being taken down the stairs into a room. It was a very cold room. Then they told me to lie on my stomach. They asked they asked my name. I told them Billy Simani. The next thing, they wanted my ID number. The next thing, they asked me where I come from. I think walikuwa wanataka kujua ushago ni wapi. I told them. Then they asked me, nimeshikiwa wapi? So I was like, I thought these were the guys that brought me here. So I think those were the other guys that I was handed to who were asking questions. They let me lie on that floor for like an hour. Then after an hour, somebody came. They took me upstairs into, I think it was an interrogation room. Those guys at the interrogation room were a bit friendly. The guys at where I was being held up were a bit rough. So the next thing I know, I'm being sat on a chair, and then one of the guys started asking me questions. They asked me the usual question: what is your name, your ID number, where do you live, your social media handles. They wanted Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. And then the next thing they told me was, we are going to ask you questions and you're going to answer us. If you don't, first of all, this is not a police station, so they might not find you, so you have to cooperate. And I was like, this was it. So they wanted to know who was funding these protests. And I told them, no one, it's just the youth. There are people who are coming up and buying water. Some people are coming up and buying t-shirts. Watu wanajitolea tu. Then they told me, the reason why we have brought you here is because tungeongea nawe kwako, ulikuwa kichwa ngumu. First of all, we need you to unlock that phone. And I was like, mimi nataka nijue nimeshikiwa nini. And they told me once more, I'm the one asking the questions. You're going to open this phone because we want to see something. And then I just decided to open the phone for them. I told them the code. They checked. I think they were looking to see if somebody was funding us, and they didn't find anything. So they took me down to where I was being held. I think it was a downstairs. It was a very cold room. I slept there the whole night. My hands on my back, still in my short and t-shirt, the whole night. So they came for me the next day. That's when they bought in tea. And then they transferred my hands to the front. And then after tea, I was taken back to the interrogation room. And then the guy was friendly enough to ask for a blanket. And then they told me, we wanted you to fast to meditate and think about your questions first. So I think now you're ready to cooperate with us and tell us what we want to know.
Perhaps, Billy, during the entire time, paint us that experience that you had that entire time, because you're talking of you being slapped at the back, you being tied up, your hands, having to sleep in a cold room the entire night. Just paint us in a minute how that experience was for you.
The whole time I was trying to think, what tweet gave me out? Like, what did I say? Because the only thing I know, I was protesting like the rest of my colleagues. So I was wondering why I was brought here. And the whole entire time I didn't know why I was brought there. Like, I knew this was the end for me. So it was like a psychological warfare, because first of all, they removed the cuffs, the handcuffs, and then they replaced them with, they're called ziplock, and zip ties. And the more I was struggling, the more they were tightening. So my hands were numb. I couldn't sleep the entire time. I was trying to like listen and know where I was, but there was no sound, no nothing. I didn't know if there was anybody in the room. So I wasn't even sure if I was in a police station or what. But I later realized the following day when they transferred the hands to the front, when I had the chance and lifted my blinds, I was in a toilet. I was actually in a toilet. It's a very small toilet. And that's where I was held the whole night. And then they would occasionally come. And when they came, they announced that they are coming, so I had to face the wall. Then they tightened the blindfolds again. They take me to the interrogation room. I think by that time, people had made enough noise on social media. I was all over, I was in the news, and they were tense at that fast, and they were telling me, your friends think that we have killed you. They are making noise all over. So we are not here to kill you. We are just trying to keep the country at peace. And they told me on Thursday, the day before they arrested me, the protest was so huge, and then goons came in at around, I think, 6, 7, and they started burning a few matatus. They started destroying properties. So in their mind, they thought that maybe we were sponsored by either a politician or someone. So they wanted to know who was this that was sponsoring the protest. And that's when I explained to them that ours is a peaceful protest. That's why we have even printed T-shirts, and we have given out a memo that anybody who is going to appear in the protests, they wakuje kama wamevaa black, so that we identify each other. And then they wanted to know how we were going to ensure that the protest was peaceful. And that's why I told them to go and look at my tweets. We had previously said that everybody should use their smartphone. If you see anybody vandalizing anything, take a picture, post it, so that when they try to pin the distraction on us, we at least have evidence. So they went through my tweets and they saw everything that we are telling people. We had even posted how people were supposed to conduct themselves during the peaceful protest. And I think that was